Hey everybody, today we are playing again the Rise of Queensdale. This is our third game in the Legacy game, and we are about to read a story card.
We are. We're going to read this story card because our current epoch does not include a goal that either one of us actually have right now. So every time that happens, you read a story card. So I'm going to read this story card. If you don't want spoilers for the Rise of Queensdale, you should go watch some of our other videos. Okay, so this story card says, children ran excitedly through the streets. A carnival, a real carnival, would come to the city. So announced Thilo, the royal courtier, on this sunny morning in the marketplace. The liege lords heard this news with great anticipation. Of course, they had only thought about the construction progress of the royal castle. After all the hardships of recent times, a morale boost for the people of their borough would help them finally finish the next phase of construction. Happy citizens equal more productive workers, they thought to themselves, and that is why it was no surprise that each of them tried their best to woo the carnival to set up camp in their own borough. Only one of you will be able to win the carnival for your borough by handing over a gleeman and a worker on your turn. If you do, you won't get the usual bonus from either. If you're the first player to place a gleeman and a worker in the center of the game board, take sticker 16 and affix it to one of your tower tiles. The tower tile cannot be a roof tile. The carnival gives you an additional bonus since the previous function of the tower tile is still visible and therefore still applies. The carnival will remain in your borough for a while. As long as the carnival remains on your tower tile at the beginning of each game, you may move your morale counter up 2 levels on the morale bar. Wow. And then we're going to apply a new rules sticker to the manual, I assume having to do with the carnival. And that's that. I think Nick is starting this game already with a gleeman. So he is already half of the way to being able to have the carnival.
So you need a gleeman and
a worker.
And a worker.
Yeah, so, but still, he's already half of the way to being able to have the carnival in his borough. Hopefully I can jump out in front of him and...
But isn't this a worker right here?
No, that's the gleeman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, okay. Alright, well, we'll see.
Alright, we'll see what happens.
And until we get to the mid-game, we'll see you guys in a bit. Hello, Sarah. So, how is this third game of the Rise of Queensdale been so far?
It's good. We're about halfway done.
We're neck and neck.
We're actually a little bit more than halfway done.
Yeah.
So we each need 16 points to complete this game. Sometimes in this game you actually need a different number of points to complete your game than your opponent does. Mm-hmm. But in this game right now, we both need 16 points to win. We both have 11 points right now. So we're getting to the end game part. And I feel pretty good about what I've been able to accomplish so far. I was able to build a new type of building where I can look at the herbs before I go and collect them. I've also been able to create a new construction site so that if I want to build another building, I have like a space for that. I've been able to increase my herb gathering huts. And that's temporary. That's only going to last for this game, but it has enabled me to collect quite a bit of herbs, and I'm on my way to get more, which has given me points and resources. So yeah, we're about to head into the next round, and I am the first player this round. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do just yet. How are you feeling about your game?
Pretty good. Hand that over to you. I also bought a place that allows me to build for 1 less, and I got 2 more sites for building future places, which gives you a lot of points. And I'm feeling pretty good. I got something else. I attracted the circus, and so the circus allows me to get 2 more like morale points, and morale during like the morale track. you can go ahead and get more. You'll get bonuses throughout the game and more victory points. And if I already start off with so many of those morale tracks, I'll be able to reach more places on the board to get more of those points. So we're kind of like going into our own little engines, our own little kingdoms, and trying to make our way and build up what the queen's gonna be like. Hey, my side's better than their side. I like the party. But yeah. So it's interesting. I'm really enjoying this legacy game. It's not as intense as some, and it's not as familiar as others, but I'm enjoying it. I like it, and I haven't really heard too much about the Rise of Queensdale before we saw it and looked it up. But it's a pretty good legacy game. I enjoy it. It's good at 2 players. As it's so far so good. Nothing has come up that has totally drastically changed the gameplay or the feel of the game. We're rolling like I think it's nice to be someone that is been in the hobby for a little bit. There's a lot of aspects of the game that was not really hard to learn, and then after you have it, you're like, oh, cool. I know how this works, and I know how to get a general strategy after a couple games. And this being our 3rd game, it's just getting more enjoyable. But hopefully nothing turns sideways and it's like, why are we doing this to ourselves? But yeah. So we'll continue and we'll get back to you guys in a little bit and see who is the winner and the loser. And Sarah's making a run for my money. Oh, hi. Hello, Sarah. So we just finished our 3rd game of the Rise of Queensdale. How did it go?
It went well. You won,
but it was a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it was on a tiebreak. So we both had the same score, but Nick won on the tiebreak. That's actually kind of nice for me because when you lose, you get seals.
Well, not when you lose.
Yeah, you have to be at a certain point on the score track. But if you're at that point on the score track and you don't win, you get a seal. And the seals you can pay to upgrade your dice with. So it was actually kind of nice for me to just get another seal.
Because you got to kind of the sweet spot because you got to your goal where you check off, and so you get to kind of like you move forward within the game.
Yeah, I needed, at the beginning of this game, I had not had this checked off yet. So I needed to be able to get to the epoch for this round to be able to check this off. And if I couldn't do that, then I would have to replay this epoch goal again on the next game. So it'd be a totally new game, with new like objectives and stuff like that, but I would still need to get past this point here to be able to like sort of progress in the future. And Nick did that last game. So this game at the end of this game, he got to move on to like a new objective while I was still stuck on this one. So it was really nice that
we were still on 16, but I was on 16 for the second time.
Right. And I'm just now
now you're just going on 16 the second time.
So it was nice that I managed to get to 16 so that I could check off this thing here. And then it was also kind of nice to be the one who still didn't win the game, because the only thing that happens when you win the game is that you get first choice of some like upgrades and stuff like that. So we're upgrading these towers here as we play, and at the end of each game, as long as you met your goal for the game, you get to upgrade your tower, but the player who won the game gets to choose first what they want. And Nick chose this piece right here, which gives him 2 gold at the beginning of every game. But that left enough choices for me to be able to choose this double brick here, which I'm more than pleased with. So it wasn't a big deal for me that I didn't get to choose the upgrades first. And by coming in second, I got one of those seals. So I'm not disappointed at all coming in second, especially because it was on the tie break. So I feel like I did well enough to not be like, oh, I didn't do very good. I still did really well. I still did as well as the player who won. I just didn't win the tie break, which to my mind gets me more benefits for the future of the campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it. I'm still really, really liking this. This has really been a very enjoyable experience. It feels really laid back. There's competition a little bit, especially with the dice placement, because every location has just one spot where if you get there first, you get extra resources. So it's definitely competition. We've gotten into the habit where we just check with each other. As soon as we roll all of our dice, we're like, which resources did you roll? So you know, like, hey, I can sort of beat you out for this location and get the extra resources if we both ended up with a resource die of that type. So there is definitely some competition, but it doesn't feel cutthroat, and it still feels pretty laid back. It feels like a competition for resources, not necessarily like for points or blood or anything like that. So I like the amount of competition there is, but it doesn't feel bad. It's not making me feel, you know, like we have to just like tear each other apart to try to win this. So I really like the amount of competition. The style of the game feels pretty laid back. I feel like the legacy is ramping up the complexity a little bit, which is really nice. Not doing it too fast or too like quickly, but it is ramping things up a little bit, which I appreciate. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this a lot.
Yeah. I'm excited for the next game because in the next game, Sarah only needs to get to 16 points. I now need to get to, I think it's 22 points.
Yeah.
So now I have to make sure I am hurrying up. And if I'm not hurrying up, I need to make sure I'm at a certain spot where I can get 2 seals. Because she has, you know, a lower threshold than I need to when getting to the point in the game where she needs it. But yeah.
So I actually think this is a really cool part of the game. This is the score track right here. And as you progress up the score track, every so often there are these square spaces here. So there's still a point where you would stop on the score track if you were at that number of points, right? But they include these squares that you place on these squares. So if for example, like Nick was saying, now on the next game, Nick is blue, on the next game, he's going to need to get to here. So his mark is going to be right here, and mine is going to be all the way back here. So he's going to have to get all the way up to here, hopefully before I get to here. And I think that that's a really, really clever and really, really friendly way to do sort of like catch-up mechanics. It makes the player who's behind feel as if they're not being totally left in the dust, but still providing a challenge for the player who is further ahead. So I actually think we're only a few games in, but I actually think that this score track might be something that I really, really, really appreciate.
And this is only the first time that we'll actually be able. When we play next time, it's going to be the first time that we play with that kind of, and we'll be able to talk more.
All the games that we've been on the same epoch is what they're called, or like goal. So the first game we were here at this one. The next game we were both together here at this one. But on the next game, Nick will be here and I'll be here. So I think that I really, really like that a lot. As a catch-up mechanic, it just feels really nice that I'm not being left in the dust for being like behind. The player that's in front of me is definitely going to have a challenge to continue to leave me in the dust. And I have like a real, actual, fair chance at being able to maybe catch up.
This game has some really interesting design elements, and
it does.
You know, really to think how hard they put the time into making this game, because there's some things I was like,
well, and there's some things here that are really cool. I feel like they could shop over to other games that I haven't seen in any other games that might be really cool, like this sort of a score track. Also, the components are pretty odd. And that may not work as well in a non-legacy sort of game, but they're really cool for a legacy game, I think. Having the board have these things that you actually, like, you remove this and then like add a new piece in its place, or like flip this over and use the backside of this piece at certain points. I don't know, there's just some really cool, unique stuff happening in this game.
Yeah. So this is our third game of the Rise of Queensdale. I think our next game is going to be really interesting, especially with that difference in, victory point scoring that we, each of our goals.
Yeah.
And so, we'll come back to you guys next time and have a great rest of your day. Toodles!